I've got to throw some fucking content together for you guys. So I'm throwing some content together for you guys. This might not come as a surprise to most people, but I get ill quite a fucking lot. I managed to lose my voice and fucking everything else for the last few weeks, and I didn't really want to do a lot of talking, so I've not done a lot of video stuff. So all the interesting shit that I've worked on is already gone. So now we're down to the boring basics of a fucking G&G. This is basically just a service and make it better and blah, 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 blah. £200 budget, make it as good as possible within that. And that's basically it. So this shouldn't be a difficult one. So whilst all this shit is going on, you can watch this and I'm going to talk about the stupid shit Airsofters say.
Sniper. That bugs the fucking arse off me. It really, really does. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you went out and bought yourself a fucking car, right? You wouldn't go out and say you bought yourself a Formula 1. You wouldn't fucking do it. It doesn't make any sense. What sniper shall I get? It's a fucking sniper rifle, alright? It's a sniper rifle. Bolt action rifle, okay? You don't do the same thing with DMRs, do you? You don't go, yeah, I'm going to buy a DM. You know, what the fuck? Does that scratch the barrel? That one is like, you've seen all my pistols up on hooks, right? Do you really think, with all the rare shit that I've got, that I take all of my guns, and I get those hooks, and I cut them off and go, let's just leave fucking jagged metal on there, shall we? And just slam the fucking pistols down. Like, what do you really think, honestly? Use the heaviest ammo that you can hold. That's brilliant as well. I love that one. Now, we live in the UK. So in the UK, we have a certain amount of power. We can have up to normally 2.3 joules on a bolt action rifle. There are some sites that allow 2.3 joules on a DMR, but a lot of sites are 1.88 joule, yada, yada, yada. Now, when you're building an airsoft gun, you could very well make it so you turn the hop all the way on and you can hop 0.4s out of a pistol. And you see it all the time. How many people use 0.32s in their fucking pistols? And it doesn't necessarily make any sense, because if you're using a very long barreled gun, you might not have the volume to be able to push a 0.4 very far, but you might have the volume to push a 0.32 really far. Yeah? You feel me? Now also, it's about the expectation of the rifle. If you've got a bolt action rifle and you're doing, say, 2.3 joules, you can do a 0.4 all day long, that's fine. If you get the build right and use heavy weight pistons and things, yeah, you know, you can creep it a little bit and use 0.43s and so on and so forth. But there are a whole fucking pile of people that simply use whatever the heaviest ammo is, and it doesn't give any benefit. Example, you might have a rifle that's set up to give you the best range and accuracy on a 0.32. You put 0.4s in it, yeah, you can probably get the hop working and get that 0.4 going, but there's a very fair chance that at the joule limit for that length of barrel, you'll get better range and accuracy on a lighter BB. And it's pretty much that simple. I can build guns that, using a 0.28, will get the same range and accuracy as a gun that is using 0.36s, you know, at the same joule. And you don't need to use that massively heavy ammo. Now, if you're in a very windy place, if you're playing through lots of shrubs and bushes, okay, you've got to take these things into account. But just because that is the heaviest ammo that you've got, doesn't mean your gun needs to hop it. And I've proven this time and time again with the people that go, you must have a pistol with a fucking maple leaf barrel, a maple leaf hop unit, a maple leaf rubber, all of which are very good, but it's a fucking pistol. Okay, if you're trying to reach out and touch people with a fucking gas blowback pistol, you know, fucking 50 metres away, learn to play airsoft a bit better. That's a sidearm, that's not what it's for. That's not what it's for. And I've proven umpteen fucking times that I can make a 0.28 go as far, if not further, and more accurately than a 0.32. And that's the way it is. Barrel length, volume, and where you're using your gun. It's got everything to do with it. So don't just assume you can just use the maximum weight of ammo, because you know what? It's a fucking fallacy. Other countries, fine. UK, nah, not so much. Cringe memes. Oh, fucking hell. Cringe memes. Cringe memes really, really drive me up the wall, because there's a few groups on YouTube, and I don't know who they think they are, but they dress up in all the fucking gear, and they'll submerge half their body in water with their Spectre Arms rifle, and they've got their fucking glasses on, and they've got their comms on, and they've got nods, and they've got the little fucking stupid beard, and they're wearing all the most expensive shit, and they'll climb in a fucking dirty stream down at their local woods, pose for a photo, and they'll put some absolute bollocks written down next to it, and we're talking the worst kind of tripe. You know that girl who's on your fucking friends list on Facebook, and she will literally just repost any fucking motivational poster that she possibly can. You know, the worst kind of filth. Believe in yourself and you can achieve anything. You go, girl. You are the strong one. And like in the background's a picture of fucking Minion or something. It doesn't make any fucking sense, and you read it and you feel bleh, and you're sick in the back of your throat a little bit. You can taste the bile and you go, oh God, why am I friends with this fucking idiot, right? Cringy memes, same thing. It's really fucking embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. You're not cool, all right? Have fun, play airsoft, have cool guns. Take it as seriously as you like, man. But honestly, leave off with those fucking motivational posters about the lonely, wounded warrior. Fuck off, mate. You're firing BBs at other fucking idiots. Shut up. You are an absolute penis. Barrel lapping. Oh, God, this is the dregs, right? Now, barrel lapping's been around for a while, and there are people who've done it for a while. And if you've got a jeweler's kit and you have all the machinery to very minutely polish the inside of the barrel to the finest sheen, there is the smallest chance that you are going to get a very, very slight increase. And I'm talking maybe a meter or 2 meters. It's nothing, you know? If you're one of these plebs that sat there with a fucking barrel, you know, and you've got a cleaning rod with some wire wool on it and some brasso, and you've got it attached to your drill, and you go and you're polishing out the inside of the barrel, there is absolutely no fucking way that you are polishing that barrel perfectly, where it's perfectly uniform all the way down. What you're doing is ruining your barrel. Don't fucking lap your barrels. If you're one of those people that does it, carry on, but don't encourage other people to do it, because it's absolute fucking cobblers. It really is. I saw a guy the other day, and he's got a 6.01 barrel, and he felt that wasn't tight enough. He knows full well that a 6.00 barrel is too tight. So he wanted to make somewhere in between. So he sat there for fuck knows how long, polishing the inside of his barrel to remove, you know, 0.05 of a millimetre. It's a plastic ball that's spinning, mate. What are you expecting from this? It's absolute shit. Now, obviously, when barrels are made, you can buy a shit barrel, and you might be able to make it better. You know, I've seen some barrels come through, but we've got no money to fix their fucking guns up, and they can barely afford to pay me. So they bring me something like an Arcturus or Nuke-Roll barrel that come out the factory rusted and pitted, and I've had to fucking go in there, and I've had to go and polish it all out. And that is a worthwhile thing if your barrel's all rusty. But you will do better off replacing your barrel with a better barrel. You will, unless you own all the CNC machinery and all the polishing equipment to do the job properly. You know, if you don't own that stuff and you are not an expert, don't try and lap your barrel. Just go and have a wank instead. What can I do to make my TM Uzi last forever? And what can I do to fix my PSG-1? Well, unfortunately, TM Uzis are shit. You can't get parts for them. I've never had any break on me personally. I've just bought ones that are broken in the past. All of mine lived. But I also understood you've got to be a little bit delicate with them. And now parts are completely unheard of. You can't get them anymore. So if you want your TMUs to live forever, leave it the fuck alone. That's for the PSG1. If it's not working properly, that's because it's a TM PSG1. And sad to say, they're dog shit. Is there an optimum nozzle length? Fucking hell. Well, realistically, as long as your nozzle is not shorter than the end of your cylinder head, and it's not any longer than something like an SR25, your volume's going to be alright. But if you've got something like a TM recoil with a big long nozzle, or a fucking VFC Scar H, which I'm doing right now and I hate them so much, or even worse, the G&G GR25, it's a massive, massive air loss you're going to get if you're not careful. Plus, a lot of times they don't extend the cylinder head to accommodate the length of the nozzle, and when the BBs touch the tip of the nozzle, because it's still going to move back and forwards, 7-8 millimeters, that's all it's really going to go back and forwards. It's right at the tip that your fucking BBs are going to be pressing from your mag on the tip of your nozzle. So the longer the nozzle's going to be, the more up and down play you're going to get. And for that reason, if a gun has got a really long nozzle, you don't want to use it as a DMR, which is why I say the G&G GR25 is literally the worst platform for a DMR. You're better off using anything else you can find. What I think about spending thousands of pounds on a TM recoil or a Crytac or something like that. If you've got the money and you want something nice, fucking treat yourself. I'm a hypocrite and I love it, but I've also got like 400 airsoft guns. And people say, which ones do you use? Do you know what? None of them. I use one or two. If I'm going to use a sidearm, it's my VFC HK45CT, and if I'm using an outdoor gun, it's either the SEMA that I built in my Don't Buy a TM Recoil Part 2 video, or 9 times out of 10, it's my bastardised Aries gearbox with the back cuts off and all that shit stuffed inside the fucking Barrett 468 body, because it's my favourite one. That's the only guns I use. So me telling somebody don't spend that much money on an airsoft gun is hypocritical. However, if you are going to spend that much money on a fucking airsoft gun, just think for a second. You've bought yourself a fucking £600 airsoft gun, and you're going to spend more money to make it so it's on par, performance-wise, with other people's guns. I'm not saying your gun is shit. I'm not saying the TM Recoil standing out the box is shit. I'm not saying the Crytac out the box is shit, unless the Vector, which is very shit. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to spend £500-600 on a fucking base gun, and the performance doesn't keep up with somebody's fucking £150 SEMA, don't go and spend £700-800 upgrading the thing to put it on par with somebody's £150 SEMA. Go and buy a fucking SEMA. It doesn't make any sense to spend all that money. And just do a little bit of research. If you go and buy something from somebody or have a fucking gun built for you, just find out what parts they put in there. I personally don't tell people exactly what part's going to go in their gun, because I might say, hey, I'm putting this MOSFET in there, I try it out, I'm not happy with the results, and I have to change it. I don't fucking tell people, yeah, I'll put this ratio of gears in there, and I'll put this many shims and this much grease, and I'll charge you this brand of this and that brand of that, because it's what's best for that particular gun. Airsoft guns are wank. They don't work very well, in terms of reliability over a long time. And every single one is different because the intolerances are fucking wild. It's a fucking wild card. You might buy a gun that I think is absolutely amazing, and it's a turkey. So you've got to be careful, Look at all these people, how many fucking industries around the world use the fucking real Glock and the real Beretta? They use them for their everyday life-saving shit they do. But you'll get one guy on YouTube going, don't buy a Glock, they all explode. And it's like, yeah, that's not true. But you will get a fucking lemon. It happens. And the same thing applies for your airsoft guns. So I can't tell people exactly what goes inside their guns until I know what I've put in there. I just work within somebody's budget. If someone gives you an exact list of things that are going to go inside your airsoft gun, don't trust that person. Because there's no way in hell that they know that those parts are going to be the absolute fucking best, because they don't know. It might be great in one gun, but it might be shit in another one. Again, prime example, I use the internal bearing steel gears. I love them. I've never had a set break. Other people have, I haven't. But I do know that if I put the 12-to-1, 13-to-1, or 16-to-1 internal bearing gears inside a version 3 gearbox that's going in a SEMA AK, I know there's going to be feed issues, because the bearing cam that it acts as the tappet plate delay or puller, or what the fuck you want to call it, I know that it's going to give feed issues if you're not careful. So in that case, I use different gears in those guns. You know, little things. If everyone's using the same thing over and over again, they're just working on fucking rinse and repeat. They don't know what they're really looking for. So it's all about fine-tuning each gun properly. So that's my thought on that. So spending £1,000 with TM recoil or a Crytek or something, don't bother. Don't fucking bother. It's like the people who go out and buy fucking PTWs now. If you buy a PTW, and I thought it was ridiculous back in the day to buy a PTW for like £1,000 and have to pay another £1,000 to make it work properly. Just because the word professional on it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. I can tell you for a fact that Thames Valley Police have been using gas blowback WEM4s in their training. It doesn't make the WEM4 a fucking professional training platform, whatever the fuck they want to call it, because it doesn't. That's just what they happen to use in their training that day. I have honest to God seen the training happening with the police, and one of the officers had a TM G3A3 Springer, and I'm not kidding. So don't believe that hype either. So spending all that money to make a gun on par with somebody else's gun, it's clearly not worth it. KWA Scorpion, what do I think? I've got one. I bought mine damaged. The valve knocker is damaged, but it was cheap, and it came with like fucking 4 mags and real wood grip and all that shit on it, and I paid about 180 quid. It was cheap, very cheap. I'm aware that when I use the gun, I've got to pull the bolt back using the toggles on either side, and I put my finger in the mag well and manually reset the valve knocker. And then when I release the bolt, put the mag in, and I arm it and I start firing, it will go all day. But as soon as I take the mag out, pull the trigger and drop the hammer, the next time I use it, I've got to pull the bolt back, and I've got to manually reset the valve knocker, because it's just defective. Nothing's broken, everything's mint, it's just defective. So, do I like the gun? Yes, it's very, very, very good. I've only ever really worked on one, I've only played with one, and I bought it knowing it was defective. I can't tell you more than that. How would I feel if DPD lost my neutral rifle? That's really tough. What a cuntish question. Well, if it's my gun, I wouldn't have a neutral in the first place. But if I did, which I wouldn't, and DPD lost it, I'd probably be happy. Because if they accept the responsibility, I'd get the money back on a really shit gun, wouldn't I? So, I guess I'd be over the fucking moon. That's a really good question. You know, I don't know who you are, Mr. Cunt, but you're alright. Why do people think that selling a gun that they think... Come on, Simon, fucking learn to fucking type, dude. Why do people think that selling a gun... So I've got to decode this bollocks, hang on. Why do... I think he means, when people are selling a gun, why do they think they can get more money for it than the original retail price? Depends on the country you're in, depends on your circumstances. I know there are places that you can get in trouble if you say buy a £400 gun, you put £1,000 worth of parts into it, you pay someone, and then when you sell that gun, you are not allowed to charge more than £400 for it, because those modifications aren't necessarily an improvement, therefore you've got to sell it for less. That exists, that really happens. So, I don't, people who ask too much for the gun, whatever it's worth, go back to TM Recall, if you're willing to pay someone £700 or £800 to do work on your TM Recall and put bits in there and spend that money, if you want to do it, that's your investment. But don't fucking whinge about it afterwards. Why is the milk a cow lilac? Because you touch yourself at night. Any advice you can impart for the longevity of the KWC Uzi? I'm not too keen on the CO2 mags. Well, you're stuck with the CO2 mags. I did the conversion to use gas, and even on Garda Power Up gas, they're shit. Now, unfortunately, if you've got the Western Arms Uzi, pretty good. If you've got the KWC, even now there are sites in the UK or websites in the UK that sell the KWC Cybergun fucking Uzi, and they refer to it as pure reliability. And that's a fallacy, because I've never seen one working very long. But I have skirmished one for an entire day in a CPD environment, running CO2 mags after I've done modifications to the nozzle, and it was doing about 320 feet per second. That's a lie. It was doing about 250 feet per second. It was low power, but it was able in semi-auto to clear a mag and put another half a mag of BBs in it, and it lasted all day with a few jams. But yeah, they're not reliable. I wouldn't know. What is the best compact AEG? I don't know. What you like the fucking shape of? What's your favourite MOSFET so far? Can't say that, because if I'm doing a G&G build and it's already got the MOSFET and ECU in it, the answer is the ECU++ by Parent. End of. But if it's a version 3 gearbox and I want to run at run at normal power with select fire mechanism, I would say the Asta V3 basic. But if I was gonna go with any version 2 gearbox, I'd say the Parent Hybrid V2, unless it's the SEMA Platinum MP5, in which case you've got to use the V2 Asta. There is no answer to that, but I don't like Jeftron products really. They're not all that. I've never had any massive luck with ASCUs, and if you look back, you'll see people 10 years ago saying how amazing the ASCUs were, get an ASCU, and they were a dick to fit. And now people go, yeah, don't bother. I've run out of silicone lube. Would my strawberry scented stuff I use for my lonely wanks be an okay temporary replacement? Actually, yes. If you've got to fix your mags, you can actually use that. Just use it on the fly. It's like putting a fucking egg in your radiator in your car. There's ways of fixing things. You don't want to do it, but in a pinch you can. So actually, yeah, you could. Have you installed the Apache yet and how it would perform? I forgot I did one of those. The tapetless cylinder head, well, it worked. That's all I can say about it. Did it work? Yeah. Did it blow my skirt up? No. Was I massively impressed? No. Did it give me any benefit? No. Did I put it in and it worked? Yeah. How do I increase the FPS consistency in semi on a GBBR? Slow shots, warm day, medium power gas. Best you're gonna do. Okay, old question, but looking for a no bullshit answer, bud. To get a SEMA 76A to shoot 70 meters, am I hopping with the replacement barrel? Stop. Take the R hop out. I'm not useful, am I? What's your view on chasing FPS? Pointless. If you are going to an airsoft site and you know their site limit is a hard 350 FPS, if you've been chasing 349.99 FPS the whole time, and then you get there and their chrono says that you're 3 FPS over that, you don't get to have a fucking tantrum at the people running the site. There are a couple of 3, 4, 5 sites in the UK where the chrono is absolute wank. Absolute wank. The method, the types of chronos, the way they're doing it, the staff is absolute wank. They're shit and useless. Fucking awful, right? There's one site that's telling people the 1.88 joules is about 370 to 380 FPS on a 0.2 and declining their guns, saying they failed. Anyway, I digress. Don't chase FPS. If you're going to a site that is 350 FPS, get your gun doing 320 to 330 with the hop set. That's it. When I think of brushless motors, if you get the decent ones, they're like the Warhead motors, they're really good. What brand is overrated? All day long, Crytek. TM is now very overrated. Very. Never used to be. What is the one part that you will always try and use? ZCI hop units, all day long. ZCI black rotary hop unit, all fucking day long, I'm in. Very few guns they don't work in, and they really are absolutely fantastic, which is why I bought a bollock load of them, because they are absolutely fucking brilliant. And whilst we're talking about that, I'll cover the next one, which is why don't I like the Max hop unit? And it's pretty simple. Go back in time, you had the Pro-In hop unit, everyone said it was amazing. I never had any luck with it at all. Over time, people have started saying, no, well, the old ones were good, but the new ones are gash, and people have turned their back a fair amount on Pro-In hop units. But the fact of the matter is, they were never any good. They were never any good. More people are willing to accept the truth now. That's all it comes down to. And what I like max hop units, exact same thing. You've got a version 1 max hop unit, best thing on the planet, spend your 60 quid, it's amazing, you'll love it, it's great. No problem, fits everything, never any problems, it's mint. Then the fucking Gen 2 came out that fixed all the problems with the fucking max hop unit that weren't existing in the first place. So all the problems that didn't exist are now fixed, and so that's fucking brilliant. And then a third gen comes out to fix the problems with the second gen that didn't exist from fixing the first gen that didn't have problems. Why do people want to sell you a fucking max hop unit? I'll make it very simple. You buy a ZCI hop unit, and if you want to sell it to somebody, you can make 2 or 3 quid on the hop unit. Yay! You buy a max hop unit, they're easy to get hold of, loads of wholesalers have them, and you can make 20, 25, sometimes 30 quid profit on a max hop unit. That is why they tell you to use it, because it's a part that you put inside the gun yourself. If it doesn't feed, if it doesn't work, if it's being a pain in the arse, that seller, that retailer can turn to you and say, well, you haven't installed it properly and you can't return it because you've used it. That fucking simple. If you have a little look, there's a few people commenting on it recently actually. There are retailers that no longer supply max hop units of any kind to people's custom builds. They'll sell them, but they will not install them because they don't trust the reliability. What does that tell you? Can you fix my demolition branch? You fucking idiot. Folder or scruncher when wiping your ass? More of a scruncher, to be honest. There we go. 2 weeks of no videos is a long time on getting withdrawals. Tough shit, Jimmy. Tough shit.
So as some of you may know, I have in fact broke my wrist. That's posed a little bit of a problem because it's going to slow my work down a little bit. So I am dealing with that. It's not stopped me from working, and obviously I'm not doing my fucking hourly rate thing for the next 3 or 4 weeks because it wouldn't be fair to do so. I'm working out prices that are going to be worthwhile doing, alright? But it does mean that everything that I am doing for the next few weeks will be with a broken wrist. That makes life a little bit difficult, but it also means that I'm magnetic. Didn't expect to be magnetic. V3 gearboxes. V3 gearboxes are pretty much the hardest gearbox to use if you want to be doing a decent DMR build, because the way the switch and trolley works. The semi-auto lockout, it happens so much more frequently on a V3 than it does on a V2, a V4, V5. The semi-lockup is pretty horrific. The way it works is, switch trolley goes forward, makes electrical contact, gears turn. As the gear turns, it flicks that down, which flicks that end up, which flicks the trolley out of place, which is on the spring, it bounces backwards, and the power is cut off, hence cut-off lever. I know in some places they call it a yaw control. When full auto selected, it simply pushes that out of the way so that full auto can be made. The trolley goes forward and backwards using the trigger itself. And that's how it works. But it's not the most reliable thing you can use. Now, you can use things like Perrin V3 opticals, you can use the Perrin Hybrid V3, you can use the Gate Aster, and you can use the Titan V3. All of these things are what I would normally use, depending on the build and the gun. However, a lot of sites do not want an electronically locked DMR. They want it to be mechanical, so that it cannot fail, and it ends up being definitely semi-auto. So when you've got a MOSFET inside there, it means that if it's optical, they don't consider it to be locked to semi, because you can just go into the settings, and with the addition of the lot more people are using fucking Bluetooth now, you can get on your phone and flick your gun from semi-auto only on high power mode to be full auto or select fire, all that kind of stuff. And people don't want that, they don't deem it safe, and that is very, very common. So I need to find a way to make these things reliable in semi-auto mechanically. And ordinarily, if you get a lockup on semi, you put it onto semi, you pull the trigger. If it locks up because you pull the trigger too fast, you pull the trigger too slowly, if you let go too soon, any of these little fucking reasons, all you do is put it onto full auto, give it a burst, and then back to semi again, and it'll work. But if you can access full auto on your gun, that's not DMR locked, so it's no good. So I was trying to find a solution to this. And this is my solution. This is a V3 micro switch unit. This was initially designed to replace the crappy G&G version. This one's V2, not V3, but you know, it is the crappy G&G version. And these are pretty god awful. I mean, the mosfet you get in the G&G is bad, but this is nearly as bad. And the way it works is that little unit there gets pulled up. There's my fucking bit. Where did you go, you prick? So what happens is, obviously this doesn't go with this pouch, technically. But as that flicks up in the air, it pulls that up. Fuck off. And that is what controls your semi-auto. And it's pretty much that simple. That button there, when that is pressed in, it fires full auto. When it's not pressed in, it fires semi-auto. It's that simple, right? But they're shit. So units were made to replace those in the G&G, and obviously a V3 version was made. Now, I picked up a stack of these, an absolute stack of them, because I thought they were brilliant. And it's not something the company is going to be releasing to the public just because they are fiddly to fit. If you lay down your sector gear on top of that switch and break it, you're fucked. If you put your trigger wrong and you break that, you're fucked. And it also requires signal wire to be plugged into there. But that's what it is. The reason I've gone with this is because if that button there, which is full auto, if the selector switch is not pressing that down, the gun is permanently on semi. So by installing one of these into your version 3 gearbox, and then not doing any modifications to your selector plate, you've then got a gun that is reliably in semi-auto. Now I've been really endurance testing this thing. I've put some big fucking springs in it and it's standing up. Obviously you can use the G&G shitty MOSFET if you want to, but I've been using the Perrin ETU, the Perrin ETU++. This completely eradicates any of the semi-auto lockup that you get, and it also locks the gun reliably to semi-auto in DMR mode. What you can't do, ordinarily you take one of these, and if you go semi-full like that, it makes the gun programmable, and you can change the burst fire, you can change the modes, the pre-cocking, the active brake, binary, all that shit. You can do all of that stuff. LiPo alarm. You can't do that from the outside of the gun once this modification's been done. But the idea is we are building a reliable DMR on a V3 base that doesn't use an optical MOSFET. Even though we're taking away a lot of the functionality of it, what this gives to the user is the benefit of reliable semi-auto. It won't lock up, and any site will be happy, or they should be fucking happy, to allow a version 3 gearbox or version 3 gearbox gun to be used in semi-auto as a DMR at UK high power. Now granted, taking away a lot of the settings, you can still access them. You've got to take the entire gearbox out of the gun and then tap the button, which is here, with a screwdriver twice. So bip bip, and it will then access programming mode. Once it's in programming mode, you can then adjust it with the trigger, and you can tap it, and you can adjust things. It requires the gun to be taken apart. That's not useful, but that is why I've gone with this method, because we've got very stringent rules in place in the UK, and no fucking site agrees with another site about what the fucking correct thing is. And generally speaking, the agreed method is mechanical lock, generally speaking. Now this is the bit that I'm most impressed with. You'll have to believe me, you've got no choice. I've only changed, aside from the switch, obviously, and aside from rewiring it, the only two parts I've changed in this entire SEMA is the blue version. The only two parts I've changed are the spring and the nozzle. I put an aluminium O-ring nozzle inside it, and I put in an M140 spring. This is at full stroke, it's locked to semi. Check this out. Bear in mind, I've done no other changes. I've cleaned it out, I've reshimmed it, I've greased it, but it's the standard motor, the standard gears, the standard bushings. It's the standard piston, cylinder, cylinder head, piston head, all of that tappet plate, everything in there is standard, apart from the nozzle, the spring, and this shit. Safe. Any other selection is semi. You'll notice the trigger is no longer drawn all the way back. There's only so far the trigger can go. That is with no pre-cocking, no active braking. That is completely bog standard. Now when I send it back to the customer, before I send it back to the customer, I'm going to be taking this and I'm going to be putting a little bit of pre-cocking on, little bit of active brake, but it's not going to be required. I tested this at about 2.2 joules and it was spicy. I tried the gearbox in springs up to an M190 and it could still do it. Everything was still working flawlessly with all the standard SEMA components, apart from those 3 bits on the inside. What more do you want? You guys might be interested to know that I have been, thinking about giving up drinking. I've put some thought into it. I don't smoke. I've never even tried a regular cigarette. I've never smoked any kind of weed. I've never done any kind of drugs. It's not my thing. It doesn't interest me in the fucking slightest. And I personally don't like drug dealers. So I've been thinking about it pretty heavily about giving up drinking. I say pretty heavily. More of a passing thought, to be honest. But here you go, here's one that I built for myself recently. This is the kind of shit that I like. That's kind of an M16 Sporter. I believe it's called, technically it's a dissipator. That's what they're called in real life. But the real life dissipator has a full length M16A2 or A1 handguard. And I managed to find, I didn't even know this existed, but the 9-inch ribbed plastic handguard, that's from the real AR. And I thought, I've never fucking seen one of those before. What the fuck could I put that on? Well, I did an M16A2 build for somebody recently, and I felt bad because the build wasn't perfect. There was a gap between the upper and lower receiver of this garter body. In fact, I think I put it into one of my videos, I can't remember. No, I didn't, it was just a picture I put. I did a 9mm conversion thing, but it was the garter A2 body, did some cool shit inside it, and warhead motor. And I didn't realise why at the time there's a wobble in the upper and lower receiver. I felt bad because I had told the customer, get a garter metal body because they're fucking brilliant. And I still maintain they are the best metal bodies. They're so good. They're so good. But the pinholes at the front here, I don't know how or why, were on the piss. The hole was way too high in the lower receiver. So it meant it was pushing the two apart. And to do any kind of conversion, to drag them back together again, required rub screws be tapped into places to bring it all together, and that's not useful for the customer. So he brought it over to me. Sorry, Jack. He brought it over to me, and I sorted out with a different M16 body. It was a normal M4A1 body with Colt trades and everything on it, and I basically swapped over the body for him and retuned everything, and then I put this into my bits box, basically. And I thought, well, fuck it, I'm going to use that body. So I started doing a little bit of research, and it turns out, if this is very slightly longer anyway, this is kind of the dissipator that Colt used to go for. And this has got the full Colt markings. Swipe. All the Colt markings are on it. But this is, I literally built this whole gun because I liked this handguard and couldn't think of anything else that I could put this handguard on. So I built this gun just for the handguard. I'm a little bit disgusted with myself because it is in fact, it's a VFC gearbox on the inside. It's a complete standard VFC gearbox. But I'm not going to fucking use it. It's going to go into my collection on my wall. You know, it's not going to do anything. So the gearbox won't break because I ain't ever going to pull the fucking trigger. But there we go, that's something that I built for myself. That's the kind of thing that I like. Right, boys and girls, here's another one. That's another one that I built for myself recently. That's an M&P 15. So that one there consists of the Smith & Wesson receiver set, full M&P 15 markings, which I think are really cool. But I've got a little bit further out and I've put on a real Surefire rail system. Cool, right? I also managed to acquire a Smith & Wesson stock. Very classic. I don't like all the fancy rail system and shit. This is what I grew up with. This is what I understand to be cool. I do like Magpul stuff, so I've got the Magpul PTS grip on there. But yeah, I'm in love with it. I'm absolutely in love with it. Obviously this was actually used, so there are little scuffs and things on it which drive me mental. But I can pick up more of these stocks I want to. But these are, you know, it's all real legit Smith & Wesson and Surefire stuff. So I'm really, really pleased with some of this shit.